System, broken, spins you round, round, and round. Media persuasion, speeches and names, paved by the ones with the crown. Lies distort your mind, make you blind. Tonight, your freedom dies. The scars to prove it, no reason or no rhyme. The twisted web of lies. Just take your time and hurry up. You're free to do what you're told. Those are some pretty relevant and heavy lyrics, and today we're going to be talking about a pretty heavy album. It's been a while since we talked about the modern era of Queensrÿche, so welcome to our deep dive into the 2019 album, The Verdict. This one has been a long time coming, and this is I Remember Now, the Queensrÿche podcast.
I remember now.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the show. This is Ray. Pleased to be back with you for a new episode of I Remember Now. Without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Steve Wright. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm awesome. How are you, my friend?
I am awesome too, man. Glad to be back. Not too long of a gap in between episodes this time. Looking forward to talking some modern era, Todd LaTorre era Queensrÿche. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been a while since we did a little Todd action. Besides talking about him on Monsters of Rock Cruise, this is going to be a good one. We'll see once we get into the album, but it's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just get right into it. So what'd you think of our last episode where we did another episode of the classic Queensrÿche countdown, number 59 through 47?
Yeah, I love the countdown. I can't wait. After every episode, Ray will send me the next list. And so I have that now, so I'm waiting to do that one. I think that may be the next one up. Always great doing them, and it's funny because there's always at least one song between the both of us, like one each probably, that the other guy's like, "What are you, insane? What are you, insane?" So yes. I always like that going back and forth. And trust me, the next list I don't believe is going to be any different.
No, the next one has a very controversial pick, let's put it that way. Perhaps from both of us. One for ranking it very high and one for ranking it very low. So
yep.
We'll get to that on our next episode, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We got a little bit of criticism. I won't say criticism, but a critique that we were being too nice to some of the songs. One of our listeners, Kevin Salinger from Canada, who we still have a ton of audio from that we have not spliced up yet because he sent us a shit ton of audio clips with his feedback on Operation Mindcrime 2. So Kevin, I promise we're going to get to that. It's just something we haven't had the time to sit down and chop up yet, because if we played the whole thing, it'd be about 25 minutes. But he made some really, really good, strong points on Mindcrime 2, so we want to get that on the air. But he was a little critical on Twitter, just saying that we thought we were a little too nice to some of the songs, and it would be nice if we were a little more critical as to why we ranked certain songs where we did. And I kind of explained to him it's tough to do that because, number one, we like all these songs, and number two, it's not always like one person's ranking that put it there. There's songs where I may rank it super low and Steve ranks it higher, and so one or the other of us might not have those stronger feelings as to why it's where it is. So, but we'll be mindful of that and try to be a little more critical thinking in terms of how we approach these songs and these lists the next time. So we did get some other feedback on the episode. We got a couple of calls. I'm going to start with an email, though. On the last episode, we had a call from Gen X, the lead singer for the Empire Queensrÿche Experience tribute band. We had some back and forth after her call, trying to remember when she had called before, or if she had called before. And Steve, you said you remember when she called, and that got my memory going. And I thought I remembered when she called, but turns out she never called.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought she'd called. I don't know.
Yeah,
so I know she at least emailed, because I know that we heard from her, because I know we talked about the Queensrÿche tribute band.
Yeah, and I've talked to her in person because I've met her at their shows, but I don't know, maybe I was just imagining something. But anyway, she just sent a quick email that said, "Hey guys, thanks for another enjoyable episode. Thanks also for giving Empire a shout out. Much appreciated. Just wanted to correct you on the call in. That was my first time calling into the show. I don't believe I had even emailed you guys before. Looking forward to hearing your next one." So I don't know, man. I thought she had called, but apparently she hadn't. So I will take her word for it over my memory, that's for sure. All right, so thanks, Jen, for emailing us. We hope that you do call more frequently. Sorry that our memories failed. But speaking of calls, let's get into a couple that we have. First one from our good buddy, producer Timper Tantrum.
Hey guys, producer Timper Tantrum here. First off,
Who are you two, and what have you done with my Timians? Take a month to record and then just give us a 97-minute podcast. Actually, I'm quite good with that. It's just unusual. So my comments on that last call were totally positive. I meant that it was good for the blood pressure, and the songs you picked were, well, yes, predictable, but they were also sensible. It was an episode that was easy and fun to produce. Not that they're not generally, just some are more than others. Like Todd years. Precisely on the Dream Theater, they are a fantastic band, but they're also very boring. It's just not something I want to hear. Ray hit the nail on the head when he said they had no hooks. Pull Me Under is the only song from them I've heard that had a memorable hook. Granted, I've not heard a lot of songs from them because I don't want to listen. And I do not understand people who want to stand at live shows. I do not want to stand. I will, but I like to have the option to sit my fat ass down. One reason, of the many, that I don't like live shows is the lack of seats usually, because standing sucks ass. The beginning of You isn't pinch harmonics, Ray, but great on recognizing the harmonics part, but they are natural harmonics. That sound is created by gently holding your fret hand or your fingers over the strings, so it just makes a chiming sound, which is the sound that you hear on that song. They're jumping between the heavier notes and the harmonics to create that, well, for lack of a better word, jumping tension, and I dig it. Keep calm, 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 keep calm. Okay, really the only full-on head-shaking moment on this is the killing words. Dated? The keyboards do not sound like Flock of Seagulls. That's asinine. Really, Ray? I can understand Steve having this ranking because, he has no taste. And if it's not rocker drivel, then he doesn't like it. I expected more from you, sir. Again, the fact that any Rage song is this low is ridiculous, but you both already fucked up that wet dream with the last Countdown episode. But that's really all I can get upset about for this one. But as I sit here taking my nitroglycerin tablets, I'll end with Turn the Current On.
So I don't know, Steve. We just can't win with Tim.
Nope.
The show's either too long or it's too short, or we just can't get that sweet spot. He's like Goldilocks. We have to find that area where it's just right. So Tim, we promise we'll try to do better. He brought up some Dream Theater points, some stuff that we kicked around last time. We got on a pretty deep dive into Dream Theater last time. I wouldn't say they're boring, as Tim says. I just, like I said on the last show, they just don't have any memorable hooks. They're not boring to me. It's interesting to listen to. It's just, I can only take it in small doses. Standing at live shows, come on, man. That's the best part of being at a live show, is being up and into the music and, feeling as one with all those people around you that are into the same thing that you are. I did enjoy Tim's, keep calm, keep calm, keep calm before he ripped into us about killing words. But he came at me a little bit on that, but dude, he came at you hard. Rocker drivel. That was like a wow statement. I'm glad he has those nitroglycerin tablets that he's taken, and must have mellowed him out a little bit. Gave us a very, very mellow Turn the Current On. I don't know if you remember the last, it was 2 episodes maybe ago. He neglected to give us his catchphrase, which just made the episode feel incomplete. But man, he really came at you hard.
Yeah, well, Gru, I will say that he did say our picks were sensible, I guess. So
yeah.
We're so glad you're pleased about that, Tim. I do get that. We did talk about Dream Theater a lot. I do kind of get it does seem samey after a while, a lot of the stuff. And the thing about standing, it's funny because yesterday was Record Store Day, and today is the 13th of April that we're recording this. And I went with my friend Jim Polkowski, and we were talking about standing at concerts, and we were saying that we're using Iron Maiden for an example. We were talking about that The last time we saw Iron Maiden, our gang that went down, we were on the floor. And my thing about going to see that show was if we were not going to be on the floor, I wasn't going, because you don't feel as part of the show if you're just sitting watching. I get it if you don't want to stand, but like it just feels like you're not as part of the show as you are if you're in the crowd. I don't know. There's not one concert that I could ever think of that I could say I enjoyed it more because I was sitting down. And that's pretty much what it comes down to for me. And I mean, there are shows where I've sat where it was the type of show where you wouldn't be standing the whole time, and it was okay, but like it doesn't feel the same. You don't feel as involved in the show as if you're sitting, especially some of the seats we've had for some of the Iron Maiden shows up in the fucking rafters. But like even like Monsters of Rock Cruise, like, man, Queensrÿche plays. I'm up front. I'm going in. There's no way I'm going to watch them from sitting anywhere. Or I try to get up as close as I can with those shows. So So in the rocker drivel, I just say that's coming from a guy that wants to fucking sit down at every concert. All right. So what can I tell you?
Yeah, that was hard, man. That was harsh. But I talked about it last episode. Like I like standing at concerts. Like you mentioned Maiden. Last time I saw them, I literally did not sit in my chair one time because we were there. We got there a little late because it was on a weeknight. Of course, so it was like after work time. It was actually in Columbus, so we had to drive to Columbus to get there. And then was it Trivium? I think was the opening band, which I had no interest in. So we just kind of hung out.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, I've heard they're good, but I just didn't care. I was more concerned about increasing my blood alcohol content than I was watching Trivium.
That happens.
So we just kind of stood out in the concourse, and like there wasn't a very long break in between bands, and like our seats we were 2 rows off the floor, so it was like we were almost on the floor.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, and we heard Dr. Doctor start, so we ran down and got to our spot, and everybody was already standing. I literally never sat in my seat one time the entire night. I didn't even take a break and sit, just stood the entire time. And I don't know, that's just the way I've always been, and that's the way I will always be. And I talked about the Queensrÿche show last time where we were in the balcony and everybody was sitting, and it was boring. I mean, I hate to say that, but it was just boring. It was like watching them on TV. Happened to me at a Rush concert too. Like the first time I saw Rush back in the 80s, we were kind of on the side, decent seats in the arena, but like everybody was sitting, like unless you were on the floor, it was just weird. Like, and it's uncomfortable for me because I'm 6'9", so sitting in little, arena seats for a long period of time is very uncomfortable for someone of my height.
The energy's not there. The energy is just not there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I intend to be fully standing when we go to see Jeff Tate here in a few months, and we'll be right down front. So I will be front and center in the man's face as he's singing every song. So,
Tim, take a fucking Geritol and stand up at a show.
Well, Tim's going to be at that show too. I'm going to make sure he stands up.
Good. I want photographic proof.
I'm going to put him behind me, so he has to stand up. He has no choice. Tim's a tall guy too, but he's not as tall as I am. Anyway, enough with that. So let's move on to our next call from our good friend Jim from Irwin.
This is Jim from Irwin calling in for the Queensrÿche I Remember Now Asylum podcast. Gentlemen, been a while since I called in, but just got through the latest episode. A couple of quick thoughts. First off, looking forward to the show in Greensburg in October, which is in my backyard. Looking forward to meeting the inmates of the Asylum podcast. I'll be up there in the second or third row with all of you. Beyond that, you guys have mentioned Dream Theater, and to me, they're a band that you really have to be in the mood to listen for. Personally, I do own a lot of their stuff, or almost all of their stuff. And yeah, you're right. They don't always have a lot of hooks in their songs, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. Either you're a fan or you're not. Personally, Black Clouds and Silver Linings is an album that's a go-to for me. The new album is really good, though. But anyway, on to this week's episode and the countdown of the songs. I thought it was a pretty fair assessment, although Not sure how Bridge got ranked where it's at. I think that's a phenomenal song. One More Time also. There's just something about Promised Land to me that has really grown on me through the years. It's really a top-notch Queensrÿche album for me. So anyway, it's tough to make the list. I know that. So you guys take care, and we will talk to you sometime soon. All right, bye now.
So Jim also with some comments on Dream Theater. Apparently we touched a nerve on the last episode. I think we even had a one of the commenters on Facebook, I think, was excited that you'd mentioned there was a Dream Theater podcast that he was not aware of. So we were spreading the Dream Theater love on the last episode. So, I kind of agree with Jim. You have to be in the mood for it. Again, he mentioned the lack of hooks. He was very nice on our assessment of our list as well. So that was a pretty fair assessment. He did point out that Bridge was ranked much lower than it should be, which I have pointed out to him in several different formats that was your fault completely. And the Promised Land thing, I mean, we get similar stories like that. A lot of people did not connect with that album when it first came out, but have grown to love it over the years. And I'm so glad to hear that because I've loved it since day one. I've always thought it's, ranks among their best. And I love hearing that people have kind of revisited that album and reconnected with it over the years.
Yeah. Well, number one, Tim, thank you for calling, even though, he always likes to get up in my face. I appreciate it, though. I love it. And Jim, thanks for calling, as always. And, for those of you guys that haven't checked out the Dream Theater podcast, Talking Into Infinity, my friend Brian Hendrickson, I met him on 2 Monsters of Rock cruises ago, and great guys, and check it out. So they do some other episodes too that aren't Dream Theater. I did a Van Halen episode with those guys last year, and just good guys. So check them out. And they get band members and everything on. They've had James LeBrie on there. They've had producers and everything on there. So it's a very, very good podcast. And they go live now too when they record. So check those guys out. And always great hearing from Jim. And so we appreciate you guys calling in.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to call the show, that number is 336-422-6862. When you call in, just leave your, obviously your name and that you're calling for our show because that line answers for multiple podcasts. That way we'll get it routed to the right place. You can also record a voice note. As long as it's something that you can get into an MP3 format, you can email that to us as well. That goes to feedback@iremembernowpodcast.com. So just email that to us and we'll get that on the air as well. As Steve said, thank you guys for calling. We appreciate all of you, number one, listening and calling for sure. Love to get that interaction with the audience and all the social media stuff. Just can't thank you enough for all the interaction that you have with us. So I guess we're pretty well wrapped up there with the intro to the show, Steve. We can get into our main topic. So today we are going to be talking about the 2019 Queensrÿche album featuring Todd LaTorre on lead vocals. Steve, you want to give some stats and information about the record?
Yeah, absolutely. It was released March 1st, 2019. And it was recorded at the Uber Beat Studio in Linwood, Washington, Planet Z in Massachusetts, Watershed Studios in Seattle. I think the Massachusetts part was where it was mixed. It's like 44 minutes and 14 seconds, released by Century Media, produced once again by Zeus. This is a very interesting period for these guys. Condition Human was the last one with Scott Rockenfield on it. And he had kind of bowed out before they recorded this with his, family stuff he had going on. So Casey is already their touring drummer at this point. And so now they need to get into the recording of the next album, and it's kind of radio silence from Scott pretty much. And so now they're, we have to record, and they're doing demos. So Todd plays the drums for the demos, and if you read the articles and and everything from our Queensrÿche Bible, that it seemed like Scott just kind of checked out. So we ended up with Todd playing the drums on the album also, which I'm not sure why they didn't just get Casey. I don't know. Maybe he was committed to something else, or they were just there and figured fuck it, Todd is a drummer, and he drummed on the demo. So I don't
was
know.
Casey the touring drummer at this point? Because they would have toured Condition Human, right, which Scott played on.
Yeah, Casey was already touring with them.
Okay.
According to what I've read, Scott, I guess, kind of checked out. They toured this album right away because this album came out in March. I don't know if the timeline's right here, because we saw them in at the Irving Plaza in New York, and the date on Setlist FM has March 9th, which is literally 8 days after the release of the album. So they must have been already on. I'm going to say probably already on the road, and they played 1, 2, 3. They played 3 songs from The Verdict on that show. So the timeline's a little weird there.
No, you are correct. I'm just looking. I had printed off some stuff from an interview that I'd read in preparing for this with Todd. One of the questions was, why did Scott Rockenfield not participate on the album? Just real quick, he says, I'm going to have to give you a backstory. Scott had a baby in February of 2017. Everybody's happy for him, and he wanted to take paternity leave, and we all totally supported that. Then after about 6 months, we're kind of saying, hey, how's it going? Hope everything's well. When did you think you might be coming back? We never did really get a definitive answer. So at some point, management told us that he had to take the rest of the year off, and we were like, okay. And that was what about January of 2018. And I was told from management that, there was supposed to be, sorry, this is like verbatim, so it's kind of weird. Somebody else talking. There was no confirmation on that yet. So Casey has been filling in with us the whole time, which was only supposed to be a temporary thing. Honestly, dude, I don't know anything beyond that. I don't mean to talk to Scott. I haven't talked to him for over a year and a half, and I don't know what he's doing. So at that point, he kind of goes on to explain that, while Casey was the touring drummer, I don't know if it was an availability issue or what, but they needed to get the album recorded, and he kind of stepped up and said, I can do it, because he's a pretty accomplished drummer in his own right. So I think that's kind of how it all happened, and that wasn't a beautiful explanation of it. It gives you at least a little bit of a timeline correction there, because as I said before, I wasn't sure if Casey was in the band. He absolutely was.
Yeah,
he wasn't in the band, but he was the touring drummer.
Yeah, and also, too, speaking of weird times for the band, this was when the Pledge Music thing was going on. I don't know if you remember that. We may have talked about it on one of our earlier episodes. And this was the album that was supposed to be funded by the fans with autographed album covers and album sleeves and different levels of what you could get personalized from the band and everything. And then this was right when Pledge Music took that freaking nosedive. Okay, we're broke. We're done. And then so they left a lot of bands hanging. And Queensrÿche was one of those bands.
Yeah.
So I remember the band Last in Line that had the 3 band members from the Dio album and Andrew Freeman singing. And for their, I want to say it's their second album, I had pledged for that. And the only thing I ended up getting was the album sleeve with no freaking album in it, but it was signed. That's sitting in my collection with no fucking record in it. But
still waiting for the album.
Yeah. So, but Queensrÿche did make good on all of their merch, like all their signed stuff and everything like that. And I actually have my copy of The Verdict in front of me, which they had 2 different versions. I have my other one over there somewhere. But this one is the, let me see what it says, the Bloodshot Vinyl, limited to 500 copies. I hate when they limit it to number copies, but they don't number the albums. But, whatever on that. But the album cover is pretty interesting, too. You got the Queensrÿche in the middle, and you have there's like like water around it, kind of like the water kind of reminds you of like the Dio album where he's dunking the priest on the chain. The waves are coming up, but it has the scales of justice on the 2 ends of the Queensrÿche. And if you look too, the one scale is tipped more than the other. So you could take that how you want. Is it tipped towards justice or injustice? And I think that's pretty cool. And there's like a Grim Reaper type guy with a red robe, like kind of summoning the Queensrÿche up out of the water. It's a pretty cool cover. The back is actually pretty cool because if you look at it, the water's calm, and you have the cups of the scale floating in the water, and you can see the Queensrÿche on the little cups floating in the calm water.
Yeah.
And it looks like, because like on the front, the sky is like dark and stormy, and when you look on the back, you can see kind of, it looks like the water's calmer, and you can see the clouds like the clouds you would see like after a storm, where everything's just kind of starting to calm down. I think it's pretty cool. Came with an insert sheet, with a lyric insert sheet, and on the one side, the other side, it just has the big Queensrÿche with the same one that you see on the front, and like the middle's kind of cool. It looks like it's got a little blood on the middle of the medallion and the Queensrÿche. So
yeah, I think it's a really cool cover. That same interview that I referenced before, Todd goes into some explanation about the cover and also why the album was called The Verdict, which I thought was kind of interesting. So just go through that really quickly. It says, on the artwork, you see this rock coming up out of the water. The water is really ferocious and the sky's in turmoil. And then you have this cloaked figure. He's kind of like the medium between, let's say, the universe and this scale of justice. The scale is a little bit uneven. So I guess the easiest way I can answer this is that the Queensrÿche is being energized by the earth, and what this figure would represent morality and subjectiveness of morality. And so what kind of verdict would be rendered on humanity's behavior toward each other, towards the planet? So you don't really get the answer. The strange cloaked figure is getting ready to witness the verdict. When we were talking with management, I was explaining this new concept for the artwork before it got developed, and I said, this guy is ready to witness the verdict. And management goes, that's what the title of the album should be. And I go, what do you mean? He said, The Verdict. And I was like, oh shit, I never thought of that. That's a good one. It works very well, It's simple and it's powerful, kind of like The Warning. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like, so they named the album because of, commentary about the artwork. So I thought that was a pretty neat little story.
yeah, definitely. As far as live, so they had to be touring this right away. Because like I said, I saw them at the Irving Plaza in March 9th, 8 days after the album was released. And from that show, Armored Saint opened up for them at that show. We went, it was great. We had Chipotle before. I got sick during Queensrÿche, so it was one of the least enjoyable shows because I wasn't feeling well, but it was a great show. And before they would come out, they played Launder the Conscience, was kind of playing. Then they came out. They did Blood of the Levant, IMI, NM156, Man the Machine, Conditioned Human, Queen of the Reich, Silent Lucidity, Open Road, Toxic Remedy, Screaming in Digital, Light Years, Take Hold of the Flame, Eyes of a Stranger. They went out. They came back. They did Empire, and they did Just City Woman, then closed the show with Empire. And it's interesting too because in 2021, 2 years later, they're still. They're in between. They're touring. They're hitting festivals. They played the Kiss Cruise. Still playing not quite a few of these songs, but they opened up with Blood of the Levant again. They played Man the Machine. So it was kind of cool to see them play those newer songs on the Kiss Cruise 2 years after the album comes out, and plus they're playing it for a Kiss Cruise where not the total opposite of the Monsters of Rock cruise, but the main thing is Kiss for the Kiss Cruise, but like Monsters of Rock is more just like everybody going for the bands they like. But It is cool to see them still playing songs and not just playing from Empire and Rage and Warning and Mindcrime. So they were still playing and putting their new stuff out there, which I think is great because, like I've talked about before, Queensrÿche and when they played their other set, they had new other songs mixed in, but they were still mixing it up. They were still one of the few bands that played two different sets on these cruises. So, but they were still pushing the newer songs, and people were enjoying them. I'll tell you, when they did like Man the Machine and Blood of the 11th, I was like, holy shit! And it was so cool to see Light Years played live too. And we'll get into the tracks, but I just wanted to throw that. I always like to have some kind of context for their live shows when we talk about these albums.
Yeah, for sure. And they, I'm going to get into this a lot later on, but they should be playing a lot of these songs live. To this day, they're not, as we know, at least not in recent memory. The DNA tour, they did a couple. They did Light Years in that set too, which was really good.
They still play Man the Machine too. They still bust
from
that
time
out.
to time. Yep. But I mean, the last tour they did nothing.
Well,
Monsters or your Monsters Rock Cruise, they didn't do anything new, did they? Isn't it all classic?
Just Behind the Walls was the only one they played.
Okay. Yeah, so they're basically ignoring these albums, putting set lists together, which just makes no sense to me. But again, we'll get into that much later on. As far as history with this album, this was one of those ones from that black period for me of Queensrÿche, my blackout period, where I was, I've told the story many times. I was kind of pissed off about the whole breakup of the band and everything, and just didn't really pay any attention to what they were doing or what Jeff Tate was doing during that period. I didn't listen to this album for the first time until probably we've been doing this show, almost 3 years now? Probably 3.5 years ago was the first time I listened to this album. I would say of all of the modern era albums, it's the one that I had listened to the least, at least up until the last couple of weeks when we were getting ready to do this show. I'm sure it's leapfrogged one or two by now because I've played the living shit out of this album for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, I don't have a long steeped history in this album. I don't have it in my DNA, as we always say. It's kind of new and fresh to me, at least new and fresh over the last few years. So how about you, Steve? Did you get this day it came out?
Not the day it came out, but I did get it within a week when it came out. Of course, it's, as BC would say, Queensrÿche. I always have to, get the, bands that I support. I always have to get the physical product. I have the CD and I actually have 2 copies of the vinyl because I had the original one, which I don't know where the hell it is. And the other one, and actually the one that I was talking about, I had in my hand. I literally just opened it up because I had the other one open. And that was the copy that I was listening to, but the blood, what is it? The Bloodshot vinyl is the one. And I literally just opened that one. So I have 2 vinyl copies. I have the CD, and I played the hell out of this album when it first came out, prior to the Kiss Cruise coming up where they were playing, and literally too, with that album coming out at the beginning of March and us seeing them a couple days later, I binged on that album. Not knowing what they're going to play, because I'm still of the mind I will rarely look up a band on Setlist FM to see what they're playing if I'm going to see them. I prefer to be surprised, but sometimes you can't avoid that. But I did avoid it on there, and I just wish I felt better for that show because it really took away from the enjoyment, because we were right up front for Armored Saint, and by the time they got done and Queensrÿche came on, it started to hit me. And I'm like, I'm very close to throwing up here. And trust me, it wasn't from the alcohol. It was from the dinner we had at Chipotle before that. And so I'm like...
There goes that sponsorship.
Yeah. Sorry, Chipotle. Sucks. So I kind of went to the back. I told those guys, I said, stay up front. I said, I'm just going to go in the back. I need to be a little closer to the bathroom because I'm not going to throw up in the middle of a crowd. I didn't throw up, but I just had that feeling, and it just took away from the enjoyment of the show. It was still really good. The band was good. They of course had Parker Lundgren in the band at the time, and it was good. But I did enjoy them a lot more when I got to see them on the Kiss Cruise later that year.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry you got sick, man. That sucks. I've had that happen to me before too. Where you just don't feel good at a show, and it just does really take away from it. Yep. But you mentioned Parker. We should probably run through the lineup. So this version of the band that did this album was Todd LaTorre, lead vocals and all drums, Michael Wilton, lead guitar, Parker Lundgren, rhythm guitar, Eddie Jackson, bass and backing vocals. Also learned throughout research that Todd played some guitar on this album too that he wasn't credited with. We'll talk about that later on. So yeah, I guess it's time to get into this thing. So let's kick it off with track number 1. This is Blood of the Levant. Is it Levant or Levant?
I think it's Levant.
I have no idea. Anyway, here we go. Written by Michael Wilton, Todd LaTorre, Eddie Jackson. All right, well, the first thing you notice about this album is it takes off right out of the gate, man. There's no count in, there's no intro, there's nothing. It's just boom, right in your face. Nice heavy start right out of the gate. Very heavy, crunchy riffing throughout this song. I love the crunchy riff under the verses in this tune. This song is like a Metallica song, is what it reminds me of. Like, this is like Black Album era Metallica sounding. Just that crunchy riff. Get a little screechy Todd, my favorite thing, very quickly when he hits that "We Are the Rebels" at 108. Don't mind it here though; it fits the song. First thing to get out of the way, I got to give a shout out to Todd. His drumming is freaking phenomenal on this record. I mean, he does a really, really good job. I think he pays homage to Scott Rockenfield in some stylistic things. A lot of ride bell, a lot of nice hi-hat work throughout the album. But overall, he does a phenomenal job playing drums. Dude is really, really good. This song, speaking of hooks, has a really nice hook in the chorus. I love the gang vocals. It's not very often that you work the word sovereignty into lyrics, but they do a really good job of working that in there. Really dig the breakdown part with like the marching band sounding drums. You've got some spoken word in Arabic, which I learned through a little research. What they're saying is, "We want peace, we are not the enemy." Really kind of cool non-Queensrÿche lyrics. They don't really write a lot of songs about war and that sort of thing. But this one's all about war and bloodshed in the Levant, however you say it, which I should have looked that up beforehand, but did not. Got to be honest, I had no idea what that word meant prior to listening to this album. I'd heard the word before, but just didn't really know anything about it. But it's a historical region along the eastern Mediterranean shores, roughly corresponding to modern-day Israel, Jordan, and Syria. Described as the crossroads of Western Asia, the Eastern Mediterranean, and Northeast Africa. So that kind of Middle Eastern area over there. I'm not sure what particular conflict they're talking about here. I'm assuming it's something that's relatively modern, because they're talking about shelling. So it's modern era warfare. So I would think it's some sort of Palestinian-Israeli conflict or something like that. But it's a really, really strong start to the album. Really, really dig this song.
Yeah, this thing, it like just takes off like a goddamn freight train right off the beginning. Yeah, like I said, this just starts off like a freight train. And I did look up the definition of Levant too, and I think that they're if you read through it, I think that they're talking about modern times, but I think it goes back to a little that this has always been a disputed area of the world, over in that region, which is God, I mean, how many? I don't even want to get into that. So anyway, they just take right off, and like you said, there's no count in, no nothing. It's just it just starts right in, which I think is a fantastic way to start an album. There's no stupid little plinky guitar intro build up, nothing like that. It just punches you in the face right off the bat. And thank you, Queensrÿche, for doing that, because my thoughts on stupid intros on songs and albums. But this one starts off, just kicks right off the bat. The production on the drums is fantastic. Todd does do a great job on the drums, and I actually got to see Todd play the drums. They do a thing called Rare Hair on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and the cruise before last, or maybe one before that, Todd got up. He played drums for I forget what songs he did. He played drums for 4 songs. He freaking killed it. It's like, holy shit, like double bass stuff and a lot of cool cymbals and just crazy, really good drummer. And this Todd gets up there on some of his screams on this one. The background vocals are great. I like the kind of call and response in the chorus. There's melodic guitar lines, and you have that, like you said, you have that spoken word in there in Arabic, and Ray translated it before. I had it just in case Ray did not, which I figured he would. But I wasn't sure who was going to be going first on the songs. There's a great bridge that leads to the dual guitar part right before it goes back to the chorus. I love the intense feel of the riff. Awesome rocking start. There's only one other song on this album that I think would have been just as good of an opener, but I mean, this is just a great rocking heavy start to the album. Love it.
Yep, for sure.
And speaking of songs that I think would have been a great opener for the album also, we'll do the next track. We'll do Man the Machine. also written by Michael Wilton, Todd LaTorre, and Eddie Jackson. And this one launches quick too. I think this, if they could have flipped the coin to have either one of these songs open the album. This is one of the songs that they do bust out. I won't say often, but it's the one that they play off of this album more than anything else. I would say. Talk about a 1-2 punch. You don't get to come up for air. You're just boom right back into another one, another fast rocker. Cool gruff vocals, like layered in parts, I think are cool. There's another intense riff that and some killer leads in between the verses. There's just some great lead runs in there too. It kind of slows down a little bit for the chorus, but I think that gives the song a little bit of breathing room too. I love the full stop, and then the riff starts again. It leads into the solo.
Yeah.
Solo starts melodically, then it rips it up. I love that too. It gets that, you get that build. It has that build in there up to the ripping part of the solo. The background vocals are great. Like I said, I've seen this live, and it just translates live. It's just a kick-ass song.
Yeah, I'm normally more of a fan of like the opening track being like a rip and burner type song, and then the second one being something more not mellow, but just different. This is not the case here. Then I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think of like Power Slave, Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight. Like, can an album open any better than that? Just rockin' kick-ass songs. So the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with that. I was thinking more like Walk in the Shadows to I Dream in Infrared. It's like a total contrast in track 1 to track 2, whereas this song almost feels like a sequel to the first song. Like, it's like the first song ends and this one picks up, and it just kind of picks up where the first one left off. But it's a great song. This is one that when I first listened to this album, and even when I first started listening in preparation for this episode, I was not a huge fan of. I was like, it's just kind of the same as the first song. It doesn't really do a whole lot. Then I started digging into the lyrics and really, as we always say on Asylum, listening with intent, and hearing all the stuff going on in this song. There's just some really, really great soloing going on throughout the song. I had in my notes also, I love that stop, and then that heavy riff comes back in before the solo. The solo is fantastic on this song. Really interesting arrangement on this tune too. They do 4 verses and 2 pre-choruses before they ever actually hit the chorus. The chorus of the broken, leave the lies, no use in defending, that part. But yeah, they do 4 full verses, two pre-choruses before they ever get into the chorus. So I thought that was kind of a neat arrangement. Really dig the lyrics. I'm going to talk a lot about lyrics today. I have been semi-critical of modern era Queensrÿche lyrics in the past. Just didn't think they were as deep and just substantive as the past era. But they course correct on that big time on this album. This album has great lyric writing. I'm not sure who did most of the writing. I would assume on the ones that Todd's a co-writer, he did the lyrics. So I'll be giving him credit, even if it might not be due. If it's not, I apologize to whoever did write them. This tune is like, they're telling the story of an oppressive leader or some kind of oppressive movement. And, don't think, don't speak, watch out, don't blink. I love he hits that high note when he says watch out at the very beginning of the song. It catches you off guard because you're not really ready for something like that yet, but it's just really, really cool the way they work that in. A lot of other really cool lyrics. He'll see your good deeds and raise you to rights. He'll lose it all just to stay in the fight, meaning no matter what your rights are, whatever I say I'm doing, I will lose it all just to make sure that I stay in power. Just a lot of really cool just imagery in the lyrics. Oh, the irony, the antidote is the disease, the balancing of ignorance and atrophy. Just really, really good songwriting there. They actually create a word too, which I thought was cool. Deathmocracy. And I'm like, whoa, that's new. So yeah, it's a really, really good song. Like I said, at first it was not a favorite of mine, but the more I listen to it, the more I like it. And I can see why they bust this out live. This will be a really fun, energetic live tune. So 2 for 2 so far. I think that's a great way to kick off the album. So I talked about contrast a minute ago. So track number 3 gives us a little bit of contrast. Track number 3, written solely by Eddie Jackson, is Light Years. So Light Years, man, this one gives you that kind of ominous sounding beginning. Then it rolls into the main riff of the song. When Eddie's bass line kind of kicks in, it reminds me of No More Tears from Ozzy. Every time I hear it, I think of that. Really, really like the guitar playing, the drumming under the verses. There's a little bit of spoken word in this song also, which I learned was Eddie Jackson's sister Olga performed the spoken word parts in this song. The chorus is really good. I love the breakdown before the solo. You get that kind of flangey sounding bass from Eddie. Really, really strong melodic solo. Has a really nice build. Get that screechy Todd in there for one line, during that build up. Back into the verse and the vocal delivery, that high line that he hits at the end when he says "single file form in line" is freaking sick. Just the notes that he hits in that. Also, very interesting lyric. You'd never think to hear the words "single file form in line" in a metal song, but just another song. It kind of reminds me of it's about oppression. Got some cool imagery in the lyrics. Sequestered pariahs following the footsteps to your grave, I think is really cool. Pulling me down the undertow, it's dragging me now, I'm paralyzed, beyond the distance is out of reach. Don't really know exactly what this song's about in reading the lyrics, but it's cool. I mean, I like the lyrical content. Eddie always writes good lyrics, I think, in the songs that he's in. This song's a little more proggy than the first two. The first two are more just kind of straight ahead metal tunes. This one's got a lot of prog elements in it. It's got a really funky kind of drum beat to it that's very, very difficult to air drum to or to steering wheel drum to. I've been trying to do it all week, and I'm always off. So hats off to Todd for laying down some pretty cool drum work on this one. But yeah, Light Years is a badass tune, man. They played this live on the DNA tour. It sounded great live. This one should be a staple in their set list. This is a really, really strong song.
Yeah, and I like that this song, here's where you kind of get your little breathing space at the beginning of the album. I like it because you get that 1-2 punch of the first two songs, and then you get this one. And it's not like it's, like a ballad, like totally like going down, but very cool song. I'm glad that, I'm so glad on this podcast that like you're a lyric guy and I'm more the music guy. Delving into this album too, in the lyrics, lyrically, it's great. Like you said, this one, you're not really sure what it's about, but it's cool. You know what I mean? It's just cool writing. Starts out with that little plinky clean guitar, a little bit of muted spoken word you can hear in the background. I can't really make it out what it says. Then it goes to another heavy riff, more intense, awesome bass tone, like right before the vocals. Like I said, that I never thought of that "No More Tears" thing. That's I can't unhear it now. I like the like that kind of back and forth kind of riff that they have going during the verses. I love the snare sound on this album too. The snare sound has just a good snap to it. There's a lot of cool production elements here. This is one, listen to it in your car. You're like, okay, throw your freaking headphones on. You're like, wow. Like Zeus does some really cool production stuff on all the Queensrÿche stuff he does. But and we have talked about this before. And even, I want to say Queensrÿche throughout their whole discography, with maybe the exception of The Warning, that there's a ton of great production values, like panning and different effects and swirling stuff. In this album, and this song is definitely is one of those songs that kind of puts that out there. The background vocals are great. Their background vocals have always been fantastic. This one's no exception. But damn, that bass, man, is just sick on this song. I love the dual leads for the solos, and it's funny too because like when you get those dual melodic leads, like they pick up in intensity, but it still stays melodic. I think that's kind of a maybe a difficult thing to do, but it fits, and they do it fantastic. I don't think Parker does as many like solos and stuff as like that, that you have the back and forth, but like when he does do that melodic stuff with Michael, I think it sounds great. Then it picks up in intensity, but it still stays melodic. Like I said, Todd's got a great scream at the end. I dig this track, and it was so cool to see this live in a couple different shows. And like you said, I wish it would be a staple because I think it's a really good track.
Yeah, it's just different. Like it's got a different vibe to it. It's still heavy. I mean, it's a little. I guess it's just mid tempo heavy instead of being fast tempo heavy like the first two were. It's got kind of a proggy arrangement. It's got a funky. I don't know what the time signature is, but it sounds weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way they perform it. I don't know. I don't know any of that music theory shit. I'm sure Tim will tell us, but it just has a really funky, difficult sound to it. Like I said, I've been trying to air drum and steering wheel drum this song all week, and I just can't get it. So it's definitely a different kind of tune, but it is really, really a strong song.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next track. This one's called Inside Out. Now, Ray, it's not Inside Out, Upside Down. It's not that one.
Let's see, I was thinking XYZ.
Oh, okay. So
love that song, man.
Yeah, this one written by Michael Wilton and Todd LaTorre. There's some like clean swirling guitars at the beginning that has a cool effect on it. Couple little lead lines. There's little I don't know, moaning or chanting at the beginning there. I like the scattering drums at the beginning, like when they come in. Very heavy riff, not as ripping, but like very heavy. Then there's the kind of chant-like vocals that Todd gets going. Then it kicks up. Like it's got a cool kind of build to it. Not your average Queensrÿche build, but it's got a different type of build in it, feel to it. Then it goes back to like the heavy, slower part. I love the up and down of this song. The clean guitars come back in for there's some cool synthesizer effects in there too, as the melodic guitar comes in. The music underneath has got that kind of dreamy feel to it that I think is kind of cool. Kind of, I don't know, Pink Floyd-ish maybe. Great melodic solo. Crunches back in, then kicks back up. This song takes you on quite a ride. I like the maybe a little unsettling of just how, I don't know, I don't want to say convoluted it is, but like it works. It just gives you that like kind of little off-putting feeling, and then they have a couple other songs that I've talked about in the past that have that kind of feel for it for me. But I like it. It's kind of uncomfortable, but you don't know why, but you like it. You know what I mean? It's another one. Like I said, this takes you on a good little journey there.
Yeah, it's got kind of a Middle Eastern-y feel at the beginning, the way that guitar sounds and the way that kind of chanting vocal comes in. I like the tempo change of this song. It brings it down a little bit at the beginning, and then it, as you said, it kicks in and gets heavy later on. I love that stranger than illusion. Like that part is so cool. Like it's different, sifting through the hands of time. That little pre-chorus they do. The chorus picks up the tempo, like you said. There's some really cool drum effects. I always call it the Linkin Park drums. After that first chorus, they sound kind of distant. Just got a lot of reverb on them, but they sound really cool. You said something that made me laugh, because in my notes, you'll see why here in a second. You said that one part, like before the solo, has a dreamy feel to it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the reason it has a dreamy feel to it is because it's the exact same, almost the exact same as the song "Dream of Mirrors" by Iron Maiden. That do 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 do, that part. Sounds so much. All week long, I'm like, what fucking Maiden song is? I'm like going through the whole catalog trying to identify what song it was. But if you look at like it's a 2:20 on Inside Out, and then from like the 19-second mark to about the 50-second mark on Dream of Mirrors, it's very, very similar.
Okay.
Not in any way saying that they did that intentionally. It just has a very similar feel to it. I thought it was funny you said it was dreamy feeling, and it came from Dream of Mirrors.
Cool.
Very mellow, melodic start to the solo. This solo is just one of those absolutely perfect solos for the song that it's in. The solo stays pretty mellow throughout. It never really takes off, and then it goes back into the verse and the heavy chorus. Just another really cool arrangement. You mentioned like the uncomfortable nature of this song. Like it just makes you feel uncomfortable as you're listening to it. You don't really know where it's going next. It's like, it's dreamy, it's Middle Eastern-y, then it's super heavy, and then it goes back to being kind of dreamy and ethereal. It's just, it's all over the place, but like you said, it all works very, very well together. This is another really, really strong song. I mean, this album is like 4 for 4 out of the gate is just awesome. I mean, so far. All right, so let's see if we can keep that string going. Track number 5 on this thing is also written by Eddie Jackson solo. This is called Propaganda Fashion. All right, so I have one criticism of this song, and that is the beginning. I don't like the way it just takes off again. It's like, okay, guys, we've done that twice already now. Let's do something different. It just starts with the word lightning and just goes. It's too much like the first two songs for me. I think you need to have a little foreplay, Steve, sometimes. You don't want to just dive right in all the time.
True.
So that is the way this feels. Like we've already done this before, so let's do something different. Other than that, I think this song is awesome. It's got a great pre-chorus and chorus. Musically, it's very interesting. It's kind of, again, all over the place. I do like the call and response vocals. It's not the performance of the lightning part at the beginning. It's just that it's just right. It just goes. I like the way it's done. I like the call and response. I think lyrically it's really, really good. I mean, I quoted it at the beginning of the show, the spins you round, round, and round, paid by the ones with the crown. I think that's a really cool lyric. Lies distort your mind, make you blind. Tonight your freedom dies. The scars to prove it, no reason or no rhyme. The twisted web of lies. Just take your time and hurry up. You're free to do what you're told. That last line is so badass. You're free to do what you're told. Then it gets into the propaganda fashion chorus. This is Eddie's commentary on news, I guess. I don't know where Eddie falls politically. I'm guessing he's more to the left. I know Todd is firmly to the left. The band as a whole has usually leaned that way in their lyric writing over the years. So I got to think that that's the kind of where Eddie's writing this from. This is maybe aimed at the Fox News crowd, not to get political on the show, but just as I read the writing, that's where it sounds like it's going to me. But I really like that "you're free to do what you're told" line. I just think that's such a powerful line. It's like, yeah, you're free, but only if you can do what I tell you to do. So yeah, this is just a really, really strong song overall, musically. Lyrically, the performance of it is outstanding. The only thing I don't like is just that very hard beginning they have.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
We take a little dip here for me. It does thump right out of the gate. It's got the layered vocals there, but this song just does not do it for me.
No?
That da 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 da. I don't like that cadence. That
they use that a lot. I was going to bring that up before. I totally forgot. But that it's like that march cadence. It's like the Queensrÿche gallop.
Yeah.
But Todd likes to play that apparently because they do a lot of that on this album.
This one's not the same for me though. Like of those, like I love those, but this one it just takes a dip down for me. The chorus brings it back a little bit for me, and that's the spoken word part with the background vocals. It sounds flat. It's the only part of this album I think that just kind of just doesn't feel like it fits. It's totally flatlined for me.
You talking like the poison motherfuckers, like that part?
Yeah. I don't know. And trust me, I F-bomb hundreds of times a day. It doesn't fit in the song. I agree. I just don't think it fits in the song.
It's kind of cheap.
Yeah. It's like the
swear,
whore. It's like
swear.
She's just a whore. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't.
She was more than a whore.
Right. Yeah. It just doesn't fit for me. And that one part in the middle, I can't decide if it's a synthesizer or a guitar. Like that in that middle part, I was like, I still can't decipher which one that is. Hard for me to tell. I do like the occasional vocal effects, but this one is just not great for me. This is a low point for me here. Lyrically, it's cool. I just wish these lyrics were in a different song musically.
It's okay to be critical, Steve. Our audience likes when we're critical.
Yeah. This song is just like BB would say, it's a flat line for me.
Yeah, I would say it's the weakest song on the album so far. I still like it. Yeah, of the ones we've listened to so far, this is definitely the weakest link so far. There's more to come, but that's the weakest one.
All right, next track, our solely written track by Parker Lundgren and Dark Reverie. right. This one does not thump right off the bat, which is good, especially after the last one. Good clean guitar start there. Good Todd vocals when the drums and the bass come in. There's layered vocals for the first line of the second verse there that I think is kind of gives it a different feel than the first verse. Excellent melodic background vocals for that first part of the chorus. It's got a good mid-tempo feel to it. Cool call and response for the chorus as it goes on. There's some keyboard accents like for like a bridge part of the song, I think, in the kind of in the middle there. The guitars have that like swirling effect, I think, that is another good throw your headphones on kind of thing in the song. There's some great leads during that we fall, we all fall, we all hurt, we all bleed part. I think that is very cool. That is how you do that part, like not like in the last song. I think it's kind of like, yeah, that's like something that you want to hear, not like that the part in the last tune. It picks up intensity towards the end of the song. There's more keyboard accents at the end, and it ends with those clean guitars again. But I like you get that single note that just kind of fades out at the end. Not bad on this one. Good job, Parker. And I think it's cool, too, that I don't like to say the word allowed him to have a solo song, but you know what I mean? Like that it wasn't a band effort. It's like Parker comes in, I got this song, so it wasn't like, well, I want to change this lyric or this whatever to get my writing credits or whatever, but just a full Parker song, and I'm glad that he got a little love on this album.
Yeah, for sure. He gets an opportunity here, and for me, he freaking hits it out of the park, man. You said this song's pretty good or okay or whatever you said. This song fucking rules, man. I love this song. I am totally into this song from like the first notes, like that picking guitar and that vocal intro, the "If I Leave." He just sounds so good. It just sucks me in. That's the Todd I want to hear. I don't want screechy Todd. I want that voice, because it's so good and so strong. Great intro. If I leave, would you wait for me? If I fall, would you pray for me? Just great tone setting of the song. The vocal delivery, as I said, is great. The production sounds so good. The guitar is so nice and clean. Todd absolutely kills vocally on this song. This is one of those ones that shows every part of his voice, and all of it's performed very well. Drums as well, really great hi-hat work on this song, very Rockenfield-like in this song. This song reminds me of him really taking his hat off to Scott Rockenfield on this song. The song has really good tension again. It's kind of dark sounding. It's got a really good build that kind of starts at the beginning and builds throughout the song. I really like how they only do half of the chorus the first time through, and then they cut right back to the verse, which just kind of continues building that tension, because it feels like there should be more of the chorus, but there's not. You mentioned the call and response. Love that part during the chorus. Lyrically, it's just a song about somebody that seems like they're at the end of their rope. Life's beating them down. They're just pretty much done. I'm assuming, based on some of the words, they're contemplating suicide. I think the lyric, "Nothing lasts forever, just revolving doors," is really cool imagery. You mentioned those keyboard elements to this song, which I couldn't tell in some parts if they were keys or strings. I'm assuming it's probably synthesized string sounds. Whatever it is, it really enhances that build of the bridge. That part from it just keeps building and building. It's a perfect Queensrÿche build. Great soloing under the part you mentioned, the "We Are One," that part. The build at the end has those keyboard swells. It's kind of almost Mindcrime-y sounding. Like, remember the way they would end Eyes of a Stranger, like live? The way they would kind of extend it out. It reminds me of that. That double bass kicks in. To me, that section there at the end is one of the better musical parts on this album. So just incredible arrangement on this song. I think the writing is great. like you said, they go back to that picking at the end, and that ringing note at the end just kind of, it leaves you wanting more. Like it feels like there should be something else, but it just fades out. This song to me, Steve, is like, this is so far the best song on the album. This is a contender for like a top 10 modern era Queensrÿche song for me. I
Really?
think this song is freaking brilliant, man.
Interesting.
And every time I listen to it throughout the week, it gets better. And it's another one, like you said before, headphones, man. You gotta listen to this thing in headphones. It sounds fine in the car, but this song takes on a whole new life when you're listening to it through headphones. So I love this tune, man. It's fantastic. Said a lot about that one. This next one is written by Parker's got a writing credit on this one also. So Parker Lundgren, Todd LaTorre, Eddie Jackson. This song is called Bent. So Bent starts off with kind of that funky, staticky beginning. It leads into the intro riff. I'm not really sure what that staticky part's for, just to do something different, I guess. Gets a little tribal sounding, I think, in the verses. A lot of cool vocal effects going on. It's very ominous, very dark sounding. Then we get into that galloping drum beat again at a certain part during the song, which they do a lot on this album, almost to the point where it's a little too repetitive for me. It's got a super catchy sing-along chorus. It's just lyrically, it's another song. To me, it's about leadership, basically treating those that they lead like pieces of shit. Same old lies, sequester the non-believers, don't forgive the ones who trespass against us. I like the religious parallels they draw there. Basically saying same old lies. Why do we as a society continue doing the same stuff, electing the same people and expecting different results? Other just cool stuff about kind of current eventy kind of stuff. The stillborn star will never know. The parents' love that won't let go. The bullied teen that's ready to shoot a tear in a 21 gun salute. Welcome to the age of misinformation. What's that remind you of, Steve?
It's on Empire, right? The Information Age. Or is that Promised Land? Is that
Promised Land?
Promised Land.
I heard that. I'm like, wow, that's kind of a cool callback. I don't know if it was intentional, but it works. It says, "Welcome to the age of misinformation." We're on My Global Mind. They say, "Welcome to the information age." So we've gone full circle. We've got all this great information. Now it's all misinformation. So yeah, I just think that the lyrics are really good. I like the chorus. I love the "As We All Fall Down." The gesture still sings to me. I mean, it's just really a good follow-up to Dark Reverie. It's different, but it's kind of in the same vein. It's kind of that same kind of mid-tempo, middle of the album kind of thing. They kind of keep that momentum going. So yeah, I think Bent's a really, really good song.
I like that effect at the beginning. It's kind of like a flying, skipping kind of sound.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Sounds really good in the headphones. Goes into like a heavy feel. You get the dual guitars that lead into the vocals. The vocal effects on them are pretty cool. And I like, and I've said it before too on a lot of the stuff, I like how they layer vocals on some of these tracks. It just adds a little, like another, cool element to it. But I think it does kind of get into a little problematic doing it live. But I think even some of them, when they do it live, Eddie picks up that layering part live when they do stuff like that. Awesome melodic background vocals. When he says Flint, does he mean like Flint, Michigan, like with all the stuff going on with the water up there? like the poison water and all that, right?
Yeah, I think so, because the lyric is the poisoning of tribes to the lifeline of flint. Now the black snake, it crawls deep within the sacred grounds. We will never consent. So yeah, I think it is. It's capitalized in the lyrics
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So I was like, that's got to be Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
I believe that's where my buddy Brad Restoven from the Slamfest podcast lives in Flint, Michigan, by the way. Hi, Brad. That part is during the bridge, like before the solo. The dual melodic solo in there is kind of cool. I think it works really well. Rips at the end. I like that. I mean, that is definitely a Queensrÿche formula over the years. The dual melodic guitars then leads into the solo. Same here, but I think it works, and I think that's why they do it. Not all the time, but like a lot of the time. But I just don't get sick of it. I don't get sick of it. And it goes back to the chorus and up to the end. Bent. Good to see Parker getting another little writing credit in there. Cool song. All right, we go to the next track, and this one is called Inner Unrest. All right, this one written by Michael Wilton and Todd LaTorre. Heavy right from the start. We're back to the boom right off the bat. Some great China Boy cymbals in there. Todd really sounds really good on the beginning of this one. There's some killer leads that go up to the vocals. And I really like the lead guitar stuff in this song. Like a lot of little like licks and little guitar runs that are very cool in here. There's some great grindage during the second verse. And this song is my only criticism of Todd's drumming on this album. There's a lot of drum fills on this album that are very similar, where I think that Scott would have mixed it up a little bit, because there's like 3 of them in a row or something like that are the same thing, where I think Scott would have mixed it up a little more. That's my only criticism of Todd's drumming on this album. Tempo change for the solo that kind of goes into like a stomping feel that I think is good, that we really haven't had on this album, for a solo part. And the solo rips it up. The vocal effect for the bridge after the solo is pretty cool. There's melodic guitars as the chorus plays, and then you get a fade at the end. But it's not, like I said, it's not the chorus is fading out. It's just you get that kind of goes away. Good one.
Yeah, like you said, it starts off, it's got that heavy stomping riff. The drums are super heavy on the intro, that it kind of slows down for the verse. Again, Todd sounds fantastic on this song. This is exactly like these last few songs, like Dark Reverie, Bent, this song. That's exactly the Todd LaTorre sweet spot that I want to hear. There's no, and I'm not accusing him of trying to copy Jeff Tate, but there's no similarity really to Jeff Tate when he sings the way he sings these last 3 songs. And that's what I want to hear. I want to hear him, because the dude's freaking phenomenal.
Yep.
Chorus is okay. It kind of comes back down. And you dream. It's a little weird. It's not super memorable. Solo section's really good. I have in my notes from 147 to 240. The riffing underneath it is, I love the riffing under like the simple beginning of the solo. The solo starts out kind of simple, and then it goes back into that stomp, as you said, as it revs up. Some really, really slick bass work in this song from, who would that be from, Tim?
Eddie fucking Jackson.
Some good spoken word stuff after the guitar solo also. That's just another song about inner turmoil, I guess inner unrest. Duh.
Yep.
It's nothing really stands out lyrically about it. It's pretty straightforward. It's just about, struggle within, basically. So yeah, this one's okay. It's not a favorite, but it's certainly not a skipper. It's a good song. It's just not a great song. All right, that brings us to track number 9. Well, we're flying through this, Steve.
We are. We're cruising. We're on cruise control. We got the cruise control set up 35.
We're trying to find that perfect porridge for Tim, so he gets his little Goldilocks perfect timing. Track number 9, written by Michael Wilton, Todd LaTorre, and again Parker Lundgren. This is "Launder the Conscience." All right, so this song, I really, really like the beginning riff. Some nice drum and cymbal accents going on during that introduction. And then we go back into the that same galloping drum beat again. Same pace we've heard several times. And at this point in the album, it has gotten repetitive. It's another kind of politically charged song. They tie it again into some religious imagery, which I think is really cool. Foresight, casting the stone, no forgiving, hold them down for not believing. They got that spoken word part at the kind of in the middle. It doesn't really go anywhere. It just kind of breaks, and the guy says there's a great divide in American politics and that all that stuff, which it's good. This song for me though is like, it's just weird. Like, it's kind of a mess. When we talked about you talked about propaganda fashion, like for me this is the low point of the album. It starts off really good, then we get into that same kind of gallopy drum beat. It's all over the place. It's just nothing really connects with me on this song. The one thing I have to point out is like, what is with the way Todd says the word conscience? Is that like, he says like conscience or something. I don't know if he's like combining two words or what he's doing, but he says, "Launder the conscience." And then, like, as it fades out, it sounds like it's saying justice, 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 not conscience. So I don't know if that was like kind of a thing.
He sounds like you do today.
Yeah, I can't talk. Thank you. Yeah, but it's like from like that 3:30 to the end is like fading out. It's like justice, justice. So I thought that was kind of weird. So the song kind of fades out, and then like out of nowhere, like Eddie Van Halen comes running in. He starts playing the introduction to Right Now, from one of the Sammy Hagar albums. And then like they push Eddie out of the way, and then fucking Rush comes in from like playing a track from Hold Your Fire, from the mid '80s. And then Eddie comes back at the end. It's just really weird. Like that part of the song just feels like an interlude, like it wasn't really part of this song. It's cool. I like it. I think it sounds really good. I like the keyboard work. I like the Rush part. If you listen to that, it sounds so much like 80s era Rush. I think it's cool the way they end the song. It just doesn't fit anything else. So this one, like, yeah, I love the beginning. I love the end. Everything in the middle for me is just a mess.
All right. Here's where we diverge once again, which is what I like. Mm-hmm. I really like this one. It's got that urgent feel at the beginning with the leads playing over. That the riff is really heavy. I like it. I like how the tempo kind of takes off during the start. And I think for me, this has kind of a mind crime feel at the beginning. Something that would kind of be plucked from there. That's why I think it kind of hits with me pretty good. When the vocals come in, it gets a little heavier. I love the pace to it. I think this one just absolutely fucking rocks. Great background vocals. The soloing rips on it. Comes down a little bit after the solo. That little TV talking part, I don't think we need in there. That's my only. That one, I'm not sure. I like everyone does that though anymore. You know what I mean? There's always some kind of little interlude or talking or like you don't. Guys, any band, you don't need to fucking do that all the time.
Today's word is babble. It means to talk needlessly about nothing.
Then you get the fade, and then like at 3:45, you get that piano that comes in. I was like, wow, what the fuck is this?
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, then you get the crunchy chords, gives it a little more ominous feel. The keyboard accents come in, like you're very, very Rush. Like I gives that little prog element to it. Eddie's bass just sounds, that one part sounds really sick.
Yeah, the tone's crazy.
Yep. But it's only there for a little short time. I think maybe they put this in there to maybe make the song just a little longer. But I like it. I think it's cool. It's like kind of turns the song on its head a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I like surprises like that.
It's the best part of the song.
It's not just the run-of-the-mill thing. Well, I don't know about that, but I just like the heaviness, the mind crime-ish of this, the prog stuff at the end. I think it meshes good. Like sometimes when you get stuff like that, it doesn't. You're like, I don't know if that really fits well, but I like the feel and how this kind of fits in there. So I think this was a good one for me.
Yeah, I think what it does is the way it ends with the keyboard, it really sets up the next song nicely too. It kind of flows from one into the next.
Yeah. Okay, last track on the album, Portrait, written by Eddie Jackson and Todd LaTorre. Little slow, murky start at the beginning. Some great bass tone from who, Tim?
Eddie fucking Jackson.
Thank you. Some echoing vocals from Todd. A little slow paced with some layered vocals there. I'm enjoying the layering. Ray. I got to tell you. There's some.
You
cool...
like a nice layer?
I do. In more ways than one. There's some cool guitar effects and little pings here and there that I think are kind of cool. Kind of, I know Rush does a cover at that bing, like it's like and actually the songs in Forrest Gump when they're in the like in the jungle and it starts to rain. Something's coming. It's like an older song. You get those.
Oh, yeah, something's happened.
Yeah, that one. Like
yeah,
those little pings remind me of that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I'm sure Tim will put it in here at some point.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear.
I like the feel of the chorus. It's got that kind of like a little peaceful feel to it. I think that it's kind of like was it Chasing Blue Sky? I think that kind of has that kind of feel to it. The solo, and I like the solo because it's got like a soaring type feel to it with some great echoing effects in it there. Todd's drum fills are fantastic on this one. He really does it, and I think it has because of the kind of lower tempo-ish or lower feel of it. I think like really drum fills like powerful drum fills like have a like really better effect and a feel on the song. There's some dual melodic leads. There's some OOs in there, Ray. It took a while, but we got some on this album. Yep. And we get the same kind of murky feel at the end that we got at the start. I think it's a cool ender. You know, we've talked about it a ton of times. There's ways to end an album with a slow track, and there's a slower track, and there's ways to not do that. I think this one is not bad. There's ones that are where you're like, why did he end the album with this one? I think this one is not bad, because then if you play this album like on a repeat, like you kind of get that murky feeling, and then when Blood of the Levin comes back, I'm like, oh, okay. So like it's cool circular that way, where you just kind of mellow out, then you get punched again. So I think it's a good ender.
Yeah, this one, you said a lot of the same things I have in my notes, so we're kind of aligned with this one. It's got that very mellow, very spacey intro. Again, great bass tone. Eddie and Todd both sound great. The vocals are phenomenal. Like you said, the drumming, I have very creative drumming by Todd in this song. For a mellow tune, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of really cool fills. And like you said, like a good drum fill on a slow song it just hits you differently than it does in like an up-tempo song. And you really, really notice it, and it really stands out. I had in my notes that it reminds me a bit of Chasing Blue Sky in some parts. Song it really reminds me of, not necessarily in what it sounds like, but in the composition, is Out of Mind from Promised Land. This is a song like where you hear every note of every instrument that's being played just clearly. There's room for everything to breathe. There's space in this song. I just think that the way they put this song together is really, really interesting. It almost sounds like Eddie just started playing that bass riff in the studio, or that bass line in the studio, and everybody else just kind of started improvising over top of it, and it all just came together beautifully. I'm sure that's probably not what happened, but that's what it sounds like, because it kind of sounds like it's almost about to like go off the rails a little bit, and then it all just works perfectly together.
They rein it back in.
Yeah. It's another song about personal struggle. This time it sounds like the subjects are pulling through. I really like how one verse is about a woman and one verse is about a man. I'm not sure if they're a couple, or it kind of sounds like they might be, but if not, they're both just kind of lost souls, trying to find someone like each other by the sound of it. The chorus just freaking rules. I love that fucking earworm about the sky lost in gray. That's been in my head for a week now. I've been whistling that and singing it. I think the backing harmonies are really good. The solo is killer on this song. And this is what I mentioned before, that Todd LaTorre played guitar. Todd actually plays this guitar solo on this
really?
on this song. Yeah.
That I didn't know.
All right, so going back to that interview that I had referenced before with Todd, it says a song like Portrait, that was something Eddie and I wrote. I even did the guitar solo and the outro slide solo. What happened was I wrote a solo just to shape the song, nothing more, but to just be a little okay. This is where the solo is, and Michael thought it was great, and we just reamped the direct signal from that, so whatever that means. So I guess he played the guitar solo just kind of on a demo, and then they ended up keeping it. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know that Todd was also an accomplished guitar player, but apparently he is. So yeah, the solo is really, really strong. Eddie's bass underneath, it's just awesome. It's another one of those perfect solos for the song. Couldn't be performed any better. I marked on my notes towards the end, the OOOs, those drum rolls that he's doing during that part, the blub, 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 are just they're like spectacular how good they are. They're simple. There's nothing crazy about them, but they're just so perfectly played and perfectly placed. Just the tastefulness of the drums in this song. From like 4:30 of the song to the very end, just what's going on there on the drum kit is just spectacular. I think this is one of Todd's best vocals on the album, one of his better ones in the entire catalog. Again, it's just him being him, singing a really, really cool, mellow, melodic song. I think, like you said, Steve, this is a perfect song to end this album on, because this album is pretty heavy. It's pretty dark. Keeps the kind of semi-tradition that they've had of ending albums with mellow songs. They don't always do it. DNA, they didn't, and some of the other ones earlier in the catalog, but they did a lot. A lot of their real memorable albums have a mellower song at the end, and this kind of keeps with that tradition. So, yeah, to me, this is a perfect song to end it on. Really, really strong close of the album.
There you have it.
There you have it. Wow. It feels like that went by quickly, but I think we hit all the points we wanted to hit. I guess it's only 10 songs. Some of the other albums are a little longer, so this one's a little shorter. It was about 45 minutes overall. So what are your overall thoughts, Steve, before we get into ranking songs and ranking albums and all that stuff? What are your overall thoughts of The Verdict?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's a good album. It's very timely for them. And, going back, like, I didn't realize it seems like years between albums seem like they're really long. I mean, these days you don't get an album every year like you used to, back in the day. But I think it's a good follow-up. It's heavier than Condition Human. I think it's got a little heavier elements in it than that. And I think it's a good progression from Condition Human. And then, we have DNA after that, so we've talked about that a ton of times. But I enjoyed it. It was cool to hear Todd do the drumming on the album. Sad that Scott wasn't there. It was the first Queensrÿche album ever that we didn't have Scott. I think that Todd channeled him in some points, and like just that one song I think was just the one that I was like on, but it was just that one part, and the drums were great. It's a good listen. It's enjoyable. It's one you could just throw on and just let it play and enjoy. I had a good time doing this one.
Yeah, me too. Like I said at the beginning, this is probably the one I've listened to the least in the entire catalog up to the last couple of weeks. I don't know why. I mean, I just threw it on. I just always gravitated more towards some of the songs on Condition Human, and then when DNA came out, that was the first modern era album where I was, a fan of this part of the band when the album dropped. So I kind of got consumed with that one, and I just never really touched on this one very much for whatever reason. I mean, I listened to it here and there, but it was never really a heavy rotation type thing for me. But over the last couple of weeks, I've dug into this album and I love it, man. I think this is a really, really strong record. I think, as I said before, Todd LaTorre is the absolute MVP of this record. I mean, vocally, drumming, I mean, he's playing freaking guitar solos. I mean, this is kind of his coming out party, where he really starts to shine. I think he was great on the first two as well, but this one really, really, he steps it up a notch. This album, it's got it all for me, man. It's dark, it's heavy, it's melodic, it's got some proggy parts to it. Front to back, other than a couple of hiccups here and there, this is a really, really outstanding addition to the Queensrÿche catalog. I think the songwriting's great. I think the lyric writing's great. I think it's the best lyric writing they've done as a band in the modern era. For sure. The arrangements of the songs are really cool. I think they do a lot of neat, interesting things. I like all that spoken word stuff that they weave in and out. I like some of the effects and like the Linkin Park drums and all that kind of stuff. I just think they do a really good job of wrapping it up in a total package. So yeah, this one is really, really a stellar addition to the catalog, and I'm glad that I now listen to this version of the band. The other thing I mentioned at the top of the show when we were talking about set lists and stuff, like, you're going to do a tour where you're going to play a full album, like, play this fucking album, with the band you've got now. This album's fantastic. Like, the ones we've heard live come across great live. It's 45 minutes. You could do this album and you could, still do another, half a set around it. I don't get the obsession with these guys of playing the classic stuff. To me, it's like, imagine like Van Halen, Sammy Hagar replaces David Lee Roth, and you're 3 albums in, you're on For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. You go to see that version of Van Halen, and all they do is play stuff from the David Lee Roth era and might play like one Sammy song. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense, other than selling tickets, I'm sure, which is probably the main motivation. That you're not going to get the casual fan if you're doing that, but you're going to get the hardcore Queensrÿche fans. Because if you look at, Queensrÿche feedback on most stuff, like there's always 2 camps. There's the nobody but Jeff Tate camp, and there's the, Todd LaTorre saved the band camp. And all those people on that side are going to come and see you if you play this stuff. The ones who are Jeff Tate only aren't going to come see you anyway. So, like, stop catering to that era. Embrace the band that you've become. Embrace the great music you guys have made together and play this shit live. I don't need to fucking hear NM156 again. Play something from this album. It just irritates the shit out of me every time I look at set lists. I'm glad to hear when you saw them on this tour, they actually did play quite a bit, but I was in my blackout period then, so I wasn't going to see them, so I missed that. I just think these guys have done so much great work with Todd. It's a disservice to him and his contribution to the band to just keep playing the same shit that they've been playing for years.
We have an expression in English, get off your soapbox. It means stop preaching to me. Because a long time ago, people used to stand on these and preach to people in the town square.
Yeah, I would like to see more Todd era tunes in the set list. I mean, there's what, four albums with Todd. So I mean, so you go, say, average of 10 songs an album. So you got like 40 songs that you could choose from. I mean, like any band, like not everything is like, ooh, you need to see it live, but like there's some great stuff to pick from in the Todd era, and I do wish they would do more. And I do kind of get why they, do the other stuff all the time, but like they could throw in more Todd. Throw in 3 songs a set, at least, you know what I mean? And mix it up, you know what I mean? Do 4. Do at least one from each album. That's what I was going to say. There should be at least one from each album that's played in their set list, because there's that much good material on all 4 of them. They could rotate them through and not do the same 4. Right. I don't know. It's just a soapbox issue for me. It drives me nuts.
Get off your soapbox.
It's the same old the Kiss argument, the end of the road set list. Like, not that they don't change their set list, they do, but it's always so heavily weighted towards the old shit that when I say shit, I love all that old stuff, that and we're doing the rankings for God's sake. I'm not saying that, but like some of it's tired, play some of this new, fresh, cool shit that you've done. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. Let's rank the songs.
Let's go.
All right. I think I'll go first this time, Steve, because I think you're going to not like my number 10. I did change a couple as we were talking.
I did too.
These were hard to rank.
I
my
always
one was a lock.
Songs. Yeah.
My 10 was a lock. The ones in the middle
Me
were
too.
hard. My number 10 is Launder the Johnsons.
Hey, what?
I'm sad for you, Ray. All right. Number 10, I have Propaganda Fashion.
Wow. Okay. All right. Not surprising after what you said during the review, but my number 9 is Inner Unrest.
All right. And my number 9 is Bent.
Bent. Wow. All right. My number 8 is your number 10, Propaganda Fashion. It's good, but it's not great.
Okay. I have for number 8, Inner Unrest.
Okay, so we're close on that one. My number 7 is Inside Out.
All right. I have Portrait at number 7.
That hurts my heart.
It's really going to hurt in a minute.
I always try to predict what your rankings are going to be as I'm ranking mine and listening throughout the week. I figured Portrait would be near your number 10. All right, where are we at? Number 6.
6.
Number 6 for me is Blood of the Levant.
Wow. I have Dark Reverie for number 6.
Jesus Christ. Not enough rocker drivel for you, huh?
I guess not.
Number 5 for me is Man the Machine.
I have Inside Out at number 5.
Okay. My number 4 was your number 9, Bent.
Wow. That's a swing. I have Launder the Conscience at number 4. Sorry, Todd.
If I ever meet him, I'm going to ask him why he said that. Right after he records a drop for the show. All right, number 3. You had this at number 7. I predicted it would be your last song because you're usually not the mellow guy, but I think Portrait is freaking brilliant, man. It's my number 3 song.
Oh, okay. And I'll tell you what, and I'm just going to throw it out there that, like, really Propaganda Fashion is the only song that I don't like on the album. Of course, there's ones you like more than others, but, like, Propaganda Fashion, that would never make a playlist of mine. All right, number 3, I have Blood of the Levant. Yeah,
and echo what you said. I think Launder the Conscience is really the only song. I wouldn't even say I don't like it, but it's like a skipper because I want to get the Portrait. But I do like the end of it. I think the end of it's the best part of the song. All right, we're down to number 2. So our top 2s. Looks like we're going to have one in common at least. My number 2 is Light Years.
We are in lockstep on that one. I got Light Years for number 2 as well.
All right, that leaves our number 1s. Without a shadow of a doubt for me, Dark Reverie is the best song on this album.
I got Man the Machine. I got the rocker drivel at number 1.
Whenever I first started this, my first ranking, because I always start, like my first run through, I listen to the album, I do my very first ranking. My number 10 song was Man the Machine. I just thought there was nothing special about it. It was nothing memorable. But then as I listened to it, and like I said before, I just listened with intent. That song just kept steadily rising through the ranks and made it all the way up to number 5. But it's a great song. I can't fault you for putting that at number 1.
Yeah, you got to dig in. See, it's in the ones that I think with any band, any song, I think the growers end up being better for you than like ones that catch you right off the bat. You know what I mean? Ones that they say it's either a grower or a shower.
What the hell are you talking about?
Or a dud. But like the growers sometimes have more impact on you, like later on. Whether it's a song that like you always didn't like until you saw them do it live, and then you're like, then you got into it. You know what I mean? Songs like that, or songs that like you with Man the Machine, you were like, man, no, it's my number 10, and I forget where it ended up, higher up for you, anyways. But
5.
So I mean, it went from it went up half the album for you.
Yep.
So cool.
All right. So yeah, we'll put together the rankings of our combined rankings. I'll post the top 4 out on X and on Facebook, and everybody can vote, and then we'll talk about that on the next episode. All right, now the hardest part, we got to rank the album. Steve, you have your current rankings there?
I do.
You want to run them down?
Yeah, okay. We have 13 albums that we've done. This will be 14th album that we've done. Number 13 album is Dedicated to Chaos. Then I have Take Cover, Frequency Unknown, Condition Human, self-titled Queensrÿche at number 9. Here in the Now Frontier is 8. Operation Mindcrime 2 is 7. DNA 6. Then Promised Land, Rage for Order number 4, Warning number 3, Empire number 2, Mindcrime number 1. And I'm going to put the verdict right at number 7 in between DNA and Operation Mindcrime 2.
Okay. So my rankings are number 13, Take Cover, number 12, Dedicated to Chaos, number 11, the self-titled Todd LaTorre debut, number 10, Frequency Unknown, number 9, Condition Human, number 8, Here in the Now Frontier, number 7, Operation Mindcrime 2, number 6, The Warning, number 5, DNA, number 4, Rage for Order, number 3, Empire, number 2, Promised Land, and number 1, Operation Mindcrime. I struggled with this, man, because I think that there's songs on DNA that are better than this. Like the best song on DNA is better than the best song on this. But for me, this is a better overall album. And I think Brian Heaton might have said that when we talked to him once. I don't know if it was on the show or offline, but he said the thing he didn't like about DNA was it's a collection of good songs, but it's not like a great album. Like it doesn't have like a theme or anything. It's just kind of all over the place. And I kind of get that now. I didn't think that at the time. But like after listening to this one, this album's got pretty heavy themes that kind of flow throughout. It's about, inner struggle and political type stuff. And as the title implies, the verdict of how all that shit's going to shake out. So I think as a whole, this album it's a better album front to back than DNA. So I got to rank it 1 ahead of it. So I'm going to put it number 5.
Interesting.
Right behind Rage for Order. Well, actually not right behind, distantly behind Rage for Order, and slightly above DNA, just because of the fact I think it's a better overall listen front to back.
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way, but maybe I'll throw on DNA later and see what's. I haven't listened to that in a while, so.
Yeah, I listened to it a couple of times this week because I was just struggling, because I'm like, oh, DNA is so good. I love it so much. There's so many great songs on it. But like, if you compare it like as an album, like it is kind of true. Like this one's just a better flow of an album than DNA is for me, anyway. So, all right, that's always fun. So we'll get those rankings updated. We're getting close to the end, man. We've only got a couple albums left to do.
True.
What do we have? We have American Soldier and Q2K?
American Soldier,
and Tribe.
Q2K and Tribe. Yep.
So we have that,
coming soon.
That middle range of the band that we've avoided.
Yeah.
Well, I remember we did Dedicated to Chaos right out of the gate just to get it over with.
I know.
But we've held those other ones, so that'll be fun. All right, any last thoughts? Any final wrap up for you, Steve?
Yeah, thanks for everybody for listening and interacting with us. Always great hearing feedback, and always fun doing these. I've been waiting to do this album for a while because I know I always like this one better than the self-titled and better than the Condition Human. So I was glad to get this one in the box. But always fun doing these. I love hearing from our listeners and supporters, even though Tim is rather tough on me, which I love and I don't mind at all. You're entitled to be wrong, Tim. You really are. I appreciate it though.
I tell him that all the time.
Always fun. Congratulations to you, Ray, and your guys at Asylum for your 200th episode. I have not been able to check it out yet, but it's on my short list for this week. I'll probably listen to it either tonight or tomorrow. But congratulations on that, and that's a good milestone, because some podcasts don't last 10 episodes or even close to that. Like close to 200. So congratulations! It's great. You guys have great chemistry there. Always fun listening to you guys. Like even when you guys cover shit like Danzig and crap that I like absolutely fucking hate. Like it's always interesting listening to it. And Ray's saying I hate it and I'll never listen to it again. But and it's funny too, because my buddy's band they play Mother from Danzig, and I'm like, can you just take that out of the set? And I think they play it now to piss me off. So that's
Probably.
I that's the only time that I wish that I smoked, because I would go outside for a cigarette when they play fucking dancing. But
You can still go outside and get some air.
that's true too. That's true. So I do hit the restroom during that song. But always fun listening to you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast and putting us out there too for this and doing the crossover episodes with us. So I really appreciate it, and congratulations once again. And Ray, thanks for doing this with me. It's always fun. Queensrÿche, top 5 band, always, and always great talking about them. Thanks to our listeners and supporters. Everybody, have a great week. We got probably a ranking episode coming up next. So
Yep. We do those every other episode. Thank you very much for your kind words about Asylum. It's been fun. I was doing the math, like, Steve, if you and I get to 200 episodes on this podcast, you're going to be like 108 years old, and I'm going to be like 105, 106 because of our frequency or our length of time in between our episode releases. So
that's funny.
Yeah, we gotta keep our health in mind if we're going to make it that far. So. But yeah, it's an accomplishment. I haven't been there since the beginning. I didn't join the show. I think Tim said it was episode 72, I believe, was when I first came on. So the 200th episode's a lot of fun. We go back all the way back to the beginning and play some clips from the early shows and some key highlights, some key, first-time calls from a lot of our regular callers. An epic montage that Tim puts together towards the end of the show, which is worth the price of admission. It's fantastic. I cannot believe he took the time to do what he did, but it's really, really funny. Especially if you're a fan of the show, you'll get it. Particularly if you listen all the way to the end of every episode, so you'll know what it's about. But it's always a lot of fun. It's just great guys. I love those guys, man. They're like my brothers, and we have such a good time doing it. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. Check Steve out on Potter Than Hell. Appreciate you all coming back to us. Episode after episode. This one was a lot of fun. Like you said, I've been looking forward to doing this one just because I wasn't as familiar with this album, and I'm really glad we did it because I love this record, man. I can't wait to keep listening to it. Usually I put them on the shelf for a while after we record the episode because you just burn yourself out on it, but I will probably listen to this again later on today. Just have really enjoyed it that much. So thank you, everybody. Again, if you'd like to participate in our rankings, we're going to do a fan ranking episode after we do all of our rankings for the Counting Down Classic Queensrÿche, or Classic Queensrÿche Countdown, I should say. If you'd like to participate in that, send us an email, feedback@iremembernowpodcast.com. I'll get the ranking sheet out to you, and you can fill it out and send it back. And we're going to combine all the listener rankings and do like a listener list at the end. You can also just reach out on social media, via direct message if you want to do that as well. I'll get back to you there. But other than that, I think that's all we got. So let's close this thing out. You have been listening to I Remember Now, the Queensrÿche podcast. We're available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe to the show and leave us a rating or a review on whatever platform you use. We're a proud member of the TLD Podcast Network. The TLD Network hosts a variety of shows, including The Less Desirables, Wheeler's Dog, Beeswax, Vinyl Daily, The Asylum Podcast, Fan Interference, Health Geeks Book Club, Twin City Talk, and many more. Please check out the other shows on the network wherever you get your podcasts, or you can also find them all at tldpodnetwork.com. If you'd like to be part of our show, give us a call on the TLD Network hotline at 336-422-6862. That's 336-422-6862. You can also record a voice note, send that to us in an MP3 file to the email address. You can leave us a message on this show, past shows, or anything you like, and we will play it on our next episode. You can always find us on our website, iremembernowpodcast.com. We're also on social media. Our Facebook page is I Remember Now, the Queensrÿche Podcast. On X, we are at I Remember Now Pod. As I said before, you can also email the show, feedback@iremembernowpodcast.com. We love getting your feedback on this episode, any other episode. If you got ideas for future episodes like Jen did last time, that's great. Tell us we're full of shit. Tell us you love us. Tell us whatever you want. We just love hearing from you. So with that, until next time, my name is Ray.
And this is Steve.
Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
He just keeps talking and talking without pausing about things that are so trivial and dull, without stopping for breath. It really does make you want to jump out of the nearest window.